Barbers used to also be surgeons. What? Hi, and welcome to 101 hair facts you probably didn't know. Because I didn't know. Hair has a shelf life. Most hairs fall out after 5 years. That is why, if your hair always seems to stop growing at the exact same length, that's why. An eyelash has a lifespan of 150 days. Elizabethan ladies used to set their hair with lard. We have around 100,000 to 150,000 strands of hair on our head. A man will spend 5 months of his life shaving. Barbers were once surgeons in the 1800s, cutting both hair and flesh. Damn. The term bobby pin was named after the pins used to hold up a bob haircut. The whole concept of werewolves came from an abnormality called hirsutism. It causes excess body hair and facial hair to grow in places where it's really not supposed to. The word shampoo is derived from the Hindu Urdu word shampna, which means to massage or to knead. Barbers used to do nails and teeth as well at their hair salons. A strand of hair is stronger than a copper wire of the same thickness. If you never shaved your beard, it could grow up to 30 feet. I don't know how much that is. I'm European. The classic striped pole outside a barber shop is actually from the barber's second job as a surgeon. They used to hang bloody bandages outside on a pole to dry, which is where the signature white, blue, and red barber pole comes from. I'm assuming the blue is for disinfectants. We shed around 50 to 150 hairs a day. So if you're wearing your hair in a braided or protective hairstyles and you take it out after like a month and all of a sudden your hair sheds a lot, that's why. There is a layer of skin on the scalp called the horny layer. And I'm not even joking. Each hair strand can support the weight of 100 grams. If you multiply that by the 100,000 strands on your head, you can lift the weight of 2 elephants. Wow, so when Theresa May promises strength for our hair, we know what it's about. Women can spend up to $800 a year on hair products. At one singular time, 90% of our hair is growing, while the other 10% is resting. Chemotherapy makes hair fall out because it's there to kill cells that replicate quickly. Hair is one of them. New hair begins to grow from the follicle as soon as it's plucked. It has been scientifically proven that the more body hair you have, the more intelligent you are. Hair contains information that we've ever put into our body. This includes medication and drugs, and that is why it is so often used in forensics. Overwashing the hair can actually increase oil production, making the hair actually oilier. 80% of Americans wash their hair twice a day. Why? Oh my god, that's so bad. Balding only becomes visible after you've lost 50% of your hair strands. Square-shaped faces look best with sleeked back hair and longer hair to help soften the jawline. Each strand of hair has its own muscle, nerve, and blood supply. A rounder face looks best with hair longer than the chin or else height at the root. Hair is the second fastest growing tissue in our body, second only to bone marrow. Angular features such as a strong jawline or forehead can look best with soft, textured edges. 70% of hairdressers end up giving up hairdressing throughout their lives because they develop very severe dermatitis. When I used to work at a hair salon, my hand used to peel off every single week. Hair grows faster in warm weather. Heat stimulates blood circulation and encourages hair growth. Rectangular face shapes can look best with bouncier, layered hair to soften the stronger features. Fringes help too. Oval face shapes look best with any style. Hair can grow anywhere on the body except the palms of our hands, the soles of our feet, our lips, and our eyelids. Heart-shaped faces look best by reducing the forehead, example with a curtain fringe. Hair does grow back after chemo, but it can grow into a completely different color for the first few months. Pear-shaped faces looks best with a layered cut around the jawline. All hair is dead, except the ones it's still in your scalp. That's alive. Shampoo works by opening up the hair cuticle to let the water in, but then also attracts dirt and grease to it, which it then suspends in the water, and then you wash it away with the remaining water. Conditioner helps the hair by smoothing out the cuticle edges and locking in moisture. When wet, healthy hair can actually stretch up to 30%. Leave-in conditioners are humectants, which help lock in moisture and also attract moisture. That's so cool! Hair is made up of something called keratin, the same thing the animal's horns, hooves, tails, feathers, and claws are made of. Assyrians used to actually curl their hair in 1500 BC with hot iron bars heated up in a fire, which is actually a trend that lasts today. Curling one. The one thing that cannot be identified from a strand of hair is gender. The scientific term for grey hair? Carnites. The scientific term for a split end is trichoptilosis. The purpose of eyebrows is to prevent oils and sweats from running into the eyes. Barbers used a urine-based formula as an early shampoo. Black is the most common hair color. Red is the rarest. Of course, I'm not talking about this red. The longest female head of hair measured 18 feet. Xi Jinping grew her hair for 30 years. Trimming your hair doesn't make it grow faster. It simply prevents the hair from snapping, which makes the hair look fuller and longer. Also, please don't use these scissors to trim your hair. Dandruff occurs by the overproduction of skin cells. The average number of hair strands actually varies with color. Blondes have the most hair strands, reds have the least hair strands. Barbers used to perform castrations. There are two types of body hair. Terminal hair is long and thick. Head hair, beard, pubic hair. Vellus hair is much finer, like arm hair. Hair acts as thermal insulation for our heads. That's because it lacks fat insulation like the rest of our body. Babies also have a different type of hair called lanugo. However, this entire layer of hair is lost once the baby is born. Children in ancient Egypt used to shave their heads, leaving only one lock of hair on the side of their head. If you counted the hair growth of all your hairs for a year, it would equate to around 10 miles. 10 miles of growth in a year. Each strand of hair contains 14 different elements. One of them is gold. Dreadlocks came about when the guerrilla warriors refused to cut their hairs until the former emperor of Ethiopia was released. The hair became very matted and began to lock. Because the warriors were very dreaded, the term dreadlocks came about. Wigs were very fashionable in the 18th century since people suffered from lice a lot. So they shaved their entire heads and wore wigs instead. Hair actually absorbs oil out of water. That is why hair strands are very often used in oil cleanups around the world. Go hair! In 1786, it became legal for women of African descent to show their hair. So they started to wear their hair up in colorful wraps or chignons. Egyptians put on a new wig every single day, and each wig greatly varied in style. Every single one of your hair follicles was formed when you were a fetus. In the 20th century, body hair was actually very appreciated and accepted. Dyeing, bleaching, curling, and straightening your hair was very common in ancient Greece. Some women developed boob hair. That is normal. Archaeologists once found ancient combs from cavemen and razors from Egyptians. Mr. Gillette in 1907 created the very first razor for women, promising to remove humiliating body hair. An entire decade later, a magazine ran an ad with a woman with her arms up and her armpits completely shaved, at the time the first of its kind. There was a time where a shaved armpit was the weird thing. There was once a survey done about hair color and personality. Blondes biologically were flirty and fun. Brown-haired were smart and serious. Redheads were strong. Egyptian priests used to keep their entire bodies shaven to avoid lice and other uncleanliness. Pubic shaving sends a lot of people to the ER. In the past, certain places required regular grooming as written law. Braids were used for enslaved women to draw maps on their heads to escape plantations. The world's first commercial shampoo was a water-soluble powder shampoo created by Hans Schwarzkopf. He then went on to create the first liquid shampoo in 1927. The cross-section of your hair can actually determine race. Asian hair is round-shaped, Caucasian is oval-shaped, and African is flat-shaped. Christina Jenkins was the first woman to invent the sewing technique for weaves. Madam C.J. Walker was the first woman to create products for African American hair. She was also the very first African American woman to become a millionaire. Egyptian wigs were usually made either from human hair, sheep's wool, or vegetable fibers. It is a myth that hair continues to grow after we die. The community building effect of barbers actually dates back to ancient Rome, where gossip, news, and rumors were spread. Always wearing your hair in tight ponytails and braids can result in female pattern baldness. In ancient Egypt, wigs were very expensive, and those who could not afford them used to use cheaper extensions. Sounds slightly like modern day. The word barber comes from the Latin word barba, which means beard. Egyptians used a material called henna to dye their hair red. This is actually still done today. The first blow dryer was created in the 1880s. Scalp massages improve blood flow and hence helps the hair grow faster. If hair doesn't stretch back to its original shape when it's wet, it is lacking protein. If hair snaps when wet, it is either over-proteinized or it's lacking moisture. A dry scalp can occur from products close to the scalp, like root mousses or dry waxes. Ammonia causes the hair's pH levels to rise to irreversible levels. This makes the hair porous, making it feel damaged and dry. Wig making was considered a very respectable profession in ancient Egypt. In the 1950s, only 5% of women dyed their hair. Guess what we're now? 75%. 75, and I contribute to most of that. The chignon bun was created in ancient Greece. A bun often held at the nape of the neck. Curls and braids were arranged in very elaborate settings using beeswax. 101 hair facts you probably did not know, but now you know. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll give it a go, and I will see you in my next video. I'm watching TikToks when I should be working.